help you to reach your goals as well. So, who couldn't join us on our last session? As you all know, Global Entrepreneurship Week is going to be celebrated worldwide from November 8th to November 14th. For us, Sri Lankan youth, we have planned an inspiring live series named Venture Versatile. It will be focusing on every aspects of lifestyles and goals. We have successfully launched this series with our first session on 7th October and will be following up till the last date of November 14th with different kind of sessions. So we expect to be a medium between experts and beginners that showcase how our seniors achieve their goals as sharing their experience and knowledge in their fields, and also we expect to interact with them and turn this out to be a fruitful session. So to give a brief on the flow of the process today, the session will start on time and it will be like a small knowledge sharing from our guest speaker, and then it will be your time to pitch your questions. So participants who are willing to ask may raise their hands and there will be your turn. So on this auspicious day of second session, we have Sethil Yudara Muhandiram, the founder of Leopocon Sri Lanka. He's an environmentalist as well as a conservationist, and he's a proud product of DS Senanayake College. He's an active socialist and a leader inside and outside institutions. So ladies and gentlemen, let's warmly welcome Sethil, our guest speaker here. Hello Sethil, it's a pleasure that you have joined with us on this special occasion.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to meet you with you all. Thank you, Vidu, for the kind induction. So today we'll be speaking about Sri Lankan leopard and its conservation aspects. Without further ado, let me share my screen. So I hope you everyone can see this, right?
Yeah, we can see.
All right. So let's begin. So Sri Lankan leopard, which we know in the scientific manner is the Panthera pardus scotia. Taxonomy, history, and nomenclature. The common reference for the leopard is leopard, composed of two words. It came from Latin, Leo, as in the lion, and pardus came from the Greek meaning, which means the leopard or the male panther. Scientific name for the leopards are the Panthera pardus. And in the synonymous names will be the panther, also refers to melanistic leopard, as well as for the mountain leopard, mountain lion, which is called panther. And the common denomination for the leopard is the spotted leopard or the common leopard. So moving on to the Sri Lankan leopard, like I said in the beginning, it is introduced by the Professor P.E.P. Dharanegala in in the 19th, early 19th actually, and it's endemic to our country. The common name will be the Sri Lankan leopard, and the scientific name will be the Panthera pardus scotia. And the synchronymous name, all the local names will be the Kotia in Sinhala and leopard in the English manner, as well as Sirute in Tamil. Speaking about the origin of the leopard or the origin of the cat family, it's a divergence from the carnivores. It diverged from the carnivores in 55 million years ago, and it derived with the common ancestor with canids. And the modern feline groups came in between 10 to 11 million years ago from the Asia, and the Asia is a common ancestor of all the modern feline groups, including the leopards, lions, tigers, and such. And speaking of the leopards and the lions, they both diverged from 2 to 3 million years ago and shared a common ancestor called Panthera. At the moment, throughout the world, we have 8 subspecies, but previously we had 9 leopard subspecies, the Panthera pardus subspecies, and based on the more genetic diversity studies or the DNA analysis, we only found 8 leopard subspecies at the moment. We have African leopard, the Arabian leopard, Persian leopard, Javan leopard, Indian leopard, Amun leopard, Sri Lankan leopard, and the Indo-Chinese leopard. Both Amur leopard and the non-Chinese leopard considered to be a one subspecies from the DNA analysis itself. And this one special lady from our island, she's Sri Lankan born, and she's the Dr. Siani Mitrapala. She's the one who handled all the DNA analysis in the Panthera pardus for the leopards itself. She and her team found out that previously only 8 leopard subspecies being identified based on the DNA analysis, and her and her team carried out the conservation DNA analysis program, which proved that only 8 subspecies share 6 genetic diverse isolated groups throughout the world. So based on the fact, leopard subspecies compared by Dr. Shriyani Mitrapala in 1989 using DNA analysis, also known as the molecular genetic variations, and she resolved genetic differentiation below the species level. That combined results revealed the distinction of the 6 geographically isolated groups of leopards in the world. And like I previously said, this is the 8 confirmed DNA analyzed subspecies, which is genetically confirmed at the moment. There are also African leopard, Indian leopard, Javan leopard, Arabian leopard, the Persian, Amur leopard, Indo-Chinese, and the known species for us is the Sri Lankan leopard. And speaking about the Sri Lankan leopard's endemic or to its native to our island, it only be seen in Sri Lanka, and it has a tawny or rusty yellow coat with dark spots and close set of rosettes. Rosettes means that the patterns is for the spots that you can be observed in the coat itself. And its melanistic form. What is melanistic form? Melanistic forms means the black leopard identicals were observed among the populations in time to time. And it's the apex predator in the Sri Lankan natural landscapes. And apart from the dry zone areas in the country, in Sri Lanka's central highlands, leopards have been recorded in forest patches, tea estates, grasslands, home gardens, as well as in pine and eucalyptus plantation among the central highlands. It used to occur in all habitats throughout the island, and Sri Lankan leopards are not any more social than other leopard subspecies. They are rarely haul their kills into the trees. Then there's a reason for that, and we'll talk it about in later man. They prefer hunting at night, but they also active during dawn and dusk, and also in daytime hours. Usually both sexes live in overlapping territories, with the range of males overlapping the small range of several females in between 2 to 4, but as well as they overlap their ranges of neighboring males due to limited territorial space. Especially, it can be observed in Horton Plains National Park. And apart from leopard, we have 3 more feline species in our Sri Lankan wilderness. We have rusty spotted cat, the jungle cat, as well as the fishing cat. All of these 3 feline species are smaller than the leopard, and the world's smallest wild cat is the rusty spotted cat, which we have a native subspecies in the island, and they share their space with the leopard in the Sri Lankan landscapes. Speaking about the habitat for the Sri Lankan leopard is historically, the Sri Lankan leopard was found in all habitats throughout the country, including the Western province. But then again, with the human populated areas arrival or the loss of habitat and the deforestation, they were considered to be to the only 3 landscapes at the moment, as in the 3 climate zones, which is wet zone, the dry zone, as well as the intermediate zone. And apart from the Western province, you can observe leopards all in 8 provinces at the moment. Leopards have been mainly observed in dry evergreen monsoon forest, the scrub jungles, rainforest, both low and upper highland forest, as well as in wet zone intermediate forest, and including the grasslands of the central hills. Also observed in both protected and unprotected areas, such as agricultural landscapes in various parts of the country. And leopard in Sri Lankan leopard, they have very common behaviors among other subspecies as well. They have their unique skin color, varies between individuals from pale yellowish to dark golden, with dark spots grouped in rosettes. Especially when pale yellowish, it means they are dry zone living species. And speaking about the dark golden with the spots, which mean they are in wet zone or in dense forest landscapes. Fur tends to grow longer in colder climates and look fluffier than their dry zone counterparts. And melancholy in leopards observed in the population as well. Solitary, and they are solitary and highly territorial animals. Adults associate only in mating seasons, and females continue to interact with their offspring even after weaning, and have been observed sharing kills with their offspring when they cannot obtain any prey, which means after aging. And they have whitish spot of the back of its ears help in communication. I'll move to the previous slide so that you can observe the whitish spot on the back of its ear. And the image itself, you can notice the white spot, and it helps in communication between the population, especially to attract females or to wave off the other territorial males. They produce several vocalizations, including growls, snarls, meows, and purrs, as well as sawing calls, especially during the mating season. Like I said, they are highly territorial. Males occupy territories that often overlap with few smaller female territories, and they sometimes they overlap with the male territories as well, which will be ending in a territorial fight, which could result in fatal wounds or probably the death for one of the males. And they depend mainly on their acute sense of hearing and vision for the hunting. Leopards are skilled hunters. They are very nocturnal, and they are very silent, and they are very stealthy animals. And they are very opportunistic hunters as well. They either ambush their prey or they stalk till it arrives to the leopard. It shift kill tactics of strangulation or the suffocation, and leopard uses its hook claws to render its prey almost useless. And after putting it down, usually it uses a tactic of strangulation or the suffocation to end their prey. Their teeth bite directly at the nape of the prey's neck or at the throat most of the time. And leopards have been known to carry carcasses weighing more than 100 kilograms. But there are some situation for Sri Lankan leopard. They have limited competition for the prey, or they have limited competitors or the scavengers, so that they usually won't drag their kill to a tree. They lay it down on the ground and they feed on that. And moving on to the hunting again, leopards can run up to 58 kilometers per hour, and they can leap onto 20 feet in one bound, or they can jump up to 10 feet in off the ground. And leopard edge towards their prey with a slow, deliberate rate, approaching as close as 13 feet without detection. They use their camouflage. They use their skin as a camouflage material so that they can stealthily move into their prey very closely, and the prey even doesn't care whether there's a leopard or not. It usually fell for that. And unfortunately, how hard they can be or how entertaining they can be in hunting, leopard success rate of the hunt is 25%, which means most of the leopards, they misses their prey, and they went off it when it comes to the encounters. And these are the main natural prey species for the Sri Lankan leopard, or the common word, the food for leopards. Sri Lankan leopard feeds from mouse to samba, but their main prey species are spotted deer, wild boar, and the samba deer. In other words, they most of the time when it comes to the dry zone counterparts, they feed on the spotted deer or the samba, and when it comes to the central highlands, they feed on wild boars as well as grey langurs, and sometimes the samba as well. Like I said, they are the apex predator in the country, but then again, they do have a little competition. It's not like a competition, but then again, we have scavenging species, which leopards can be seen engaging time to time, especially the jackals as well as the two crocodile species in the country, the mugger as well as the saltwater crocodile species. Also, in sometimes, cloth bears also can be seen among the prey that they are encountering with the leopard in some landscapes. Speaking about the leopard reproduction, usually for Sri Lankan leopard, there isn't set season for mating, and the mating occur with the all during the throughout the year, and during the period when there's rain and more food, mating occurs usually. Once mating has been a success, the female will carry the young in their body about 90 to 100 days, and they will be born in den or cave, and she can have up to 4 in exceptional situations, but then again usually she can have in between 2 to 3 cubs at a moment. The survival rate for the young leopard cubs is about 50% for around like 6 months to 1 year, and then again it will go higher after 1 year or so. And about 10 months old, it has the skills and the strength to care for itself, the cubs, and however, it will remain with its mother until from 18 to 24 months of age. And after 24 months of age, it means after 2 years, it probably wanders or it gets separated from their mother, and they will wander off to find a new territory for themselves. And sometimes the study shows that maternal bond is very strong among some subspecies, including the Sri Lankan leopard. And speaking about the Sri Lankan leopard, they are actually at the moment, they are edge of extinction due to numerous reasons. And we'll go through it at the moment. So annual death rate or the annual death count for the Sri Lankan leopard is in between 10 to 20 in an official manner. But then again, with the unseen death count, it can go much higher. And last year we had 13 deaths. This year it's 9 deaths and counting. For last year, we have one melanistic leopard, also known as the black leopard death as well, which was reported from Nallatanya. Most of the times, the identified areas for the leopard death occurs in central highlands, including the tea estates, the other vegetation, agricultural landscapes and such. And when it comes to the dry zone, it mainly depends on the cattle conflict. Why do humans kill leopards? The cause of fear, also known as the misconception. And other matter is the cattle conflict, which because like people wanted to secure their livestock, so therefore they intentionally kill leopards in order to protect their cattle and such. Also, there are unintentional kills, which means involving bushmeat. When they are in snaring situation, it's probably go for bushmeat because like when snaring, people do attach these snares to get to caught either wild boar or other animal. But then again, unfortunately, leopard got caught to these snare materials as well. And there are confirmed animal parts trafficking ongoing in the island, and there are unintentional killing like bushmeat and such, and there are high speed and reckless driving, especially in dry zone landscape. So following are the killing methods for the Sri Lankan leopard. They do get snared, they get poisoned, or they get shot by a gun, or probably a road kill or a roadside accident. And more in some places we observe there are incidents involving improvised explosive materials, which we also known in Sinhala as hakapatas, and the use of trap guns in especially in dry zone landscapes, also the trap pits. And there are natural causes that cause death to the leopards as well. Yesterday, we had a similar situation in Yala National Park, which we lost an leopardess due to it's suspected to be a water buffalo attack or either a territorial fight. And now for the natural causes, there will be crocodile attacks, the water buffalo attacks, wild boar attacks, territorial fights, as well as the aging. And speaking about the legal protection for the leopards, the leopard has been a protected animal since 1964, and the last amendment to the Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance in 2009 moved to all 4 species into the newly established strictly protected species category, which means the leopard as well as 3 other feline species in the country, including fishing cat, the rough-spotted cat, as well as the jungle cat, are now in strictly protected species category. For the offenses to maim, injure, harm, or to kill a leopard, or to keep a live animal or a dead body or any part of the body is penalized 1 to 10 lakhs in the country's law or 1 to 5 years of imprisonment at the moment. And these are the following actions taken by the government of Sri Lankan authorities. And the Go authority responsible for leopard conservation is Department of Wildlife Conservation at the moment. And they issued human leopard conflict HLC management guidelines, as well as the additional cages provided for the Department of Wildlife Conservation by the many civil societies as well as many conservation organizations, and constant patrols by Department of Wildlife Conservation in order to find as well as to cut off these snaring incidents, especially in Central Highlands. And they've been carried out awareness programs for the local communities, especially for the tea estates and such, to mitigate human leopard misunderstanding. Apart from Leopocon, which I am from, there are several other environmental organizations or the leopard conservation organizations in the country, which is the Wildlife and Nature Protection Society, also known as the WNTS. And there's Wildlife and Wildlife Conservation Trust, the WWTC, which is founded by two renowned leopard conservationists in the country. And we have SCA, also known as the Small Cat Advocacy and Research, and the Tropical Environment and Research Network, which is our technical advisor for the Leopocon. And we have independent research individuals as well as research groups to protect and conserve the Sri Lankan leopard. So these are the approaches taken by Leopocon at the moment to mitigate human leopard misunderstanding in the country. We gather data throughout the country to identify the misunderstanding ongoing, and we analyze of bottleneck populations and the other subpopulations in the country. We overlook for protected areas. We identify leopard corridors and territories time to time, and we carry out consensus.
We lost you for a moment. I think
Yeah, I think, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I think you all can see the slides. Right, can you see the slides?
Yeah.
All right. So sorry for the inconvenience. They have been, and we do monitor behaviors and the movements of the leopards, and we carry out awareness programs, which is based on physically, but then again, with the pandemic situation, most of the time it will be the virtual awareness programs, and we do carry out scientific approaches based on citizens as well. And as an organization, we use few technologies and methods to conserve as well as to identify many issues and to observe the behaviors of the leopards. Most of the time, we use trail cameras, and we depend on stats as well as the pack marks of the leopard to identify their territories and their genders as well. And we do rely on sketch marks to identify their living landscapes, and we keen to observe the calls. Also, we depend on eyewitness reports from various parts of the country, so that we can rely on, and as well as we can gather data when there are reports are coming. So these are few maps that we've been created to identify the incidents happen involving leopards in the country, and we do update them time to time when there are ongoing situations. So the biggest question is how society can help conserve Sri Lankan leopard. Either you can provide information related to wildlife crimes to a local police or to the Department of Wildlife Conservation or to a known conservation organization or an individual. Also, you can spread awareness about the environment between communities, especially to improve the environmental literacy. And you can assist conservation organizations by joining with them. and actively engaging in protection of Sri Lankan leopard habitats and their natural ecosystems. Also, you can practice in better agricultural methods based on proper land management. And obviously, you can say no to bushmeat to help mitigate snaring incidents happen throughout the country. And please do respect the authorities when there's an incident, especially when it comes to the leopard rescues. Do not stress the authorities as well as the animal because it can be fatal for the both parties involving the spectators as well. So I think this is the short PPT or the presentation that I created. And thank you so much, Gypzeez, again for the invitation. And if you guys have any questions, please do ask. I'm more than willing to answer them, all of you, for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Sethil. That was very informative and a detailed presentation. So, starting with the question from my side, what are thoughts or ideas to save animals from global climate changes? What do you think about that?
Yeah. So speaking about the global climate change, there are many changes in climate and extreme weather events have begun to affect people and nature across the globe. And the or exploitation of wildlife, the diseases, especially like COVID, and from the shrinking habitat of polar bear to increased water scarcity, driving human wildlife conflicts in our country as well. These changes will become more intense and pronounced in years to come. Sea levels are rising and oceans are becoming warmer. It affects the corals as well. And longer, the more intense drought threaten crops, the wildlife, as well as the freshwater supplies. And from polar bears to Arctic and marine turtles off the coast of Africa to off the coast of Sri Lanka as well. It affects the South Asian countries at the moment. Our planet's diversity of life is at risk from the changing climate. So therefore, the emerging research shows species conservation has a positive impact on lowering carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere, which means we can kind of create an impact when it comes to the global climate challenge. The animals can react to climate change in only three ways. Either they can move out, either they can adapt, or either they can get killed. Many animals are moving to higher elevations and latitudes to escape from the warming temperatures. But climate change may be happening too quickly for most of the species to outrun it. And therefore, moving is not always a simple solution, and entering new territory could even mean encountering more competition for food or interacting with unfamiliar species. Also, due to the climate change, the migration patterns has been delayed, and also the date of the migration has been delayed for some species, especially for the avian species as well. And some animals, however, seem to be adapting to the climate changing conditions. As spring arrives earlier, insects emerges early. So some migrated birds are laying their eggs earlier to match insect availability to their young, and they will have food. Also, like I said, coral reefs, which are actually colonies of individual animal called polyps, have experienced intensive bleaching as the ocean gets warmer. And they expel the colorful symbiotic algae that live within them. A lot can happen to ecosystems from climate change. So, what can we do to mitigate the climate change? We are the first generation to know we are destroying the world, and we could be the last that can do anything about it. So, therefore, we can speaking up is one of the most powerful thing you can do, especially if it's to the right people. If you can raise your voice against the government entity or whatever the people who's doing the destruction to the environment, you can raise your voice. And in other than speaking, you can get yourself educated. What you can do is that to keep yourself informed. The more you know, the know is better. It leaves you better equipped to have those conversations with your friends and the family and the people you wanted to influence. We need to make wasting our resources unacceptable in all aspects of our life. Every product we buy has an environmental footprint, and therefore it could end up in landfill. The impact of plastic pollution in our ocean is becoming increasingly clear, and it is having drastic impacts on marine life. And recycling what we can reduce the number of new materials we are making, and upcycling is a creative way to make old items into something more valuable and something more useful. This could be reusing it could be either reusing a jam jar as a candle holder or using an old tin as a plant pot. The possibilities are endless. You can do like so many things when it comes to the upcycling. And like we can all do more to be more conscious about what we buy and where we buy it from. Buying less will save your money, it will reduce the waste and improve your environmental footprint. And a living less consumeristic lifestyle can be benefit to you as well as to our planet. Even turning off a light bulb can save our planet, and the it can save our diversity, the species diversity at the moment. And depending on technologies that can reduce environmental issues, and we can practice on modern solutions for climate change, and such practices will make our planet a better place for every living being, including leopards as well as for the humans. So think before you make a move and be more environmental conscious. I think that will create a huge impact when it comes to the climate change.
Yeah, thank you, Sethil, for that beautiful answer. I think very detailed one. We have 5 more volunteers over here, so we'll pick a one from here.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Sethil. My
Hi.
question is there any possibilities in Sri Lanka to pet exotic wild animals with any license? And what are the procedures that we need to follow to do so?
Yes. Is there any possibility or the procedure in Sri Lanka to take out the exotic pets? So I think before moving on to the exotic pet part, illegal wild, I should have enlightened with you with the illegal wildlife trade. So the illegal wildlife trade is the world's fourth largest illegal trade. The wildlife smugglers gain millions in profits engaging in illegal wildlife trading. The legal policies drafted and acts and ordinance implemented in putting a halt to the illegal import of the wildlife across geographical boundaries have become more mere stacks of paper. Even though there are international conventions like CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, there are so many loopholes which made smugglers to carry out wildlife trading. The trade of exotic animals has existed since prehistory. With the rapid expansion of the human population, the economic growth, and the globalization, the demand for exotic animals has seen an increase in scale the past few decades, resulting in the extension of the exotic animals trade. And the illegal wildlife trade refers to the process of assembling, distribution, and the exchange of fauna and flora that are at risk and thereby protected by law. The lucrative pet trade of star tortoise, the pangolin scales, scorpions, exotic snakes, and also the baby elephants are the most attractive forms of wildlife trafficking at commercial level. Sri Lanka has long claimed a strategic position, the smuggling mafia. As a hub, we identify the Sri Lanka, the island itself, identified as a hub which is for drugs, the gold, as well as for the exotic wildlife trading. So we have customs, we have several authorities to identify, to monitor, as well as to mitigate these all illegal wildlife trades. We have the custom ordinance, we have the import of export control acts and such. And at the same time, as a direct reliable stakeholder on controlling imports of wildlife and other derivatives, we associate provisions of the Convention of International Trade of Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, which is I referred as CITES. Also, we have Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance and FFPO, and we have the Fisheries of Aquatic Resources in 1996. However, if you are willing to bring some sort of a specific exotic pet or an exotic animal, there are some procedure and the regulations being given by the authorities. You should act and under strict protocols. Some of these species can be brought to the island, especially the fishes. Like you can boat out exotic fish species such as like the alligator gas and such. But then again, there should be a protocol to monitor strictly about their activities, whether they are releasing to a reservoir or to a river or such like that. So I think with given proper license and such, people should have at least some sort of engagement in when it comes to the exotic pet trade. I think you got the answer.
I think
Sophia?
she's on mute.
Yeah, I think you got the answer. All right.
So let's move to the next person.
Hi, Sethil. It's Bandini here.
Yes, Mandi.
Yeah, so my question is something that we have been talking about for quite some time. So, one burning issue we have at hand in Sri Lanka is that we do not see many who graduate with relevant knowledge and skills in environmental conservation actually play an active role in conservation efforts. So, what could be the reasons for this non-engagement from their part, and how can we as interested parties reach out to them and ask them to join our efforts?
Yeah, reason for that is I think mainly the opportunities or the careers. When it comes to the Sri Lanka, there are less opportunities when it comes to the conservationists or the graduate who are coming from environmental background. And again, many of these industries or the departments that they can be participate on are politicalized. There's another issue for that. That's another reason actually. And apart from that thing, I think people are getting they are taking environmental conservation as granted, like you can have a less salary, less benefits and such. So therefore I think that's why the people who have got graduated from environmental conservation are going away from the conservation instead of joining with them. Very few, very limited number of people are joining straight to the conservation as well, and they are working on the ground level. There can be very few, and unfortunately we have huge quota in come to the from so many universities, and unfortunately these graduates they are going away without putting their head into the conservation field, but then again they are putting their head to the other fields. So that's the two main reasons that I like. One is the less opportunities, and the second one is the politicalization of the system. I hope you got the answer.
I think she might get her answer. So we have 3 more here. So let's take the other one. We can't hear you, Saujanya.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Sethil.
Hi.
I would like to ask you something. What are the close to heart and most cherishing adventurous moments, and also the most painful moments in your field experience?
Right. Before moving to the most painful, I think most cherishing is like every field experience is unique and adventurous, because you will never know what will happen. You get these mixed feelings, the adrenaline rush, and everything when it comes to the field visits. Sometimes you will come up face to face with the wildlife when you are on the foot. And I had my fair share with both elephants and leopards up close during some of my field visits, and they are always cherishing and they always are memorable. And speaking about painful moments is that I think one of the biggest impact that made on my career is the recent death of the melanistic leopard, which was passed away last year in Alatani, which also known as a panther. I personally seen him in year 2016 for few seconds, and only very few conservationists kept his presence under wraps. But unfortunately, it got killed last year due to an snap. It still got me personally, and his death made an impact on many of us, and that's one of the many reasons which I am devastated and I am disappointed when it comes to Sri Lankan conservation. But then again, we are doing our very best to mitigate such incidents in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
All right, welcome, Sojan.
Hi, Sethil.
Hi.
My question is, how do you allocate time for your personal as well as professional life while taking care of your organization at the same time?
So, well, it's kind of a hard question, but then again, I think the prioritize what you do wisely is one of the main reasons to manage all these environmental work, other professional work, the traveling and hanging out with friends and such. And especially I set a time limit to complete a certain task, and I take breaks between tasks itself. Usually, and be punctual, always be punctual. Like Kritika knows me very well. I usually came early, arrives early, or I created myself a vow that I would never be late for some task. And remove non-essential task activities. I do remove them, and I plan ahead. Also, I select the people I wanted to hang around very wisely, and I usually won't mix my personal and professional life. And most importantly, never give up on what you love, as in like what you are passionate about, and be responsible. I usually take all the responsibility for myself for what I do. I think that's one thing Sri Lankan people we won't do. Take the responsibility, be responsible, and that's how actually I manage all my personal and professional life as a environmentalist, as a conservationist, as well as hanging out with friends and such things. So yeah, like it's very hard to keep track on the activities that we do, but then again somehow still I manage to do all these things together, kind of to do in a multitasking manner.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So good evening, Sethil. Can you
Good
hear
evening,
me?
Saranga.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, my question is, what is the thing that inspired you to be in this field from the IT background, and which experiences have you prepared for working in wildlife, especially with the leopards?
Right. So I have so many inspiring characters or the heroes. If you ask me who my heroes in the life, I would have a time answering that. And I have different people that I respect for their contribution to the world of conservation, and obvious always spring to the mind, like international personalities like David Attenborough, the Steve Irwin and such, and local legends like Dr. Inoka Pudavidanage, Dr. Jagat Kunawatana, Ainaka Ranwell, Rukshan Javadan and such. They are all the people that would not have made me the conservationist I am today. And from childhood to the date, big cats, especially the leopards, amaze me in many ways. Especially leopards, they are full of life, and it always blood rushing to see one in the wild up close. And the stories I've heard, the things they do mesmerize me to abandon my field to be a conservationist, especially from IT to conservation. And like leopards are just not an animal species. Leopards are very graceful and powerful big cats. They have a very unique appearance, and they are solitary and very secretive animals. also an exceptional hunters, like I said in my presentation, which can make them overcome any obstacle, and they are highly adaptive. Each leopard got unique attitude to one another, and they are the epitome of the stealth. Silence and stealth are the trademarks of these ultimate predator. They are truly an amazing product by the nature, and trust me, you can watch one for days if you have the chance. All these amazing characteristics made me to be a leopard lover and a leopard conservationist.
I think he might get his answer. So we have one more here.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So as of now, we have personally, in my opinion, what I have known is the leopards are aggressive, they attack the people and something like that. But as a conservator, in your opinion, how friendly they are? How much time would it take to get familiarized? So to be friendly with them, is there any kind of chances to get familiarized with the leopards and to be kind of friendly with them, to get some to spend some time with them, or else it's going to be we should be just aware of them and we should be standing away and watching them like that? I just need some clarification on that.
Right. So speaking about leopards, one thing I can say is that more like all these wild species, including elephants, sloth bears, leopards, they are very unpredictable animals. You can't be friends with them. I think it's better to let them be themselves in the wild. Reason for that is that leopards are very curious, and they usually take human presence as a threat for their existence. But then again, they usually get away from the human presence when they feel that, and therefore leopards are very solitary animals, and like they, to be honest, they doesn't like human interactions much. They are very asocial, like they are home counterparts, especially your cat. If you have a cat, you know that your cat doesn't listen at all, not like a dog. He do what he loves. He doesn't do what you wanted to do. He's just being a cat. And like that, leopards are the same. Leopards won't get involved with humans. And like people are saying that they are very aggressive, they can kill a human and such. Yes, very true. Leopard can kill a human with one paw, with one paw. It's true, but then again, it won't happen because leopards, they actually hate human presence, especially when it comes to the forest. If you are visiting a forest and you are there, if there's a leopard, usually leopard goes away from you for like very for towards like 2 to 3 miles probably. It can sense you, it can hear you, and he doesn't like much of your presence. So therefore, to mitigate some sort of a conflict, he or the leopard, it goes away. And like that, people are telling stories like leopards are man eaters, like leopards can be very like they can be attacked all the time. Not like that. These stories are very like they've been made up. And I've seen leopards up close, like 2 to 3 meters in distance, some of the time, most of the time, and in some of the states as well. But then what they do is that they let go of me and they go away as well. If you ever came across with a leopard, don't get involved. Don't do any hefty movements or don't do any harsh activities. Just let the leopard go away, and you can go yourself to the another side so that both of you can be secure. Unless if leopard takes you as a pet, it probably attack you. It's a wild animal. It has the wild characteristic. You can't dominate, or you can't take it as a pet material.
Yeah, just because I saw some like on the social media, some platforms, I have seen some people getting familiarized with the lions and everything. So I just had a curiosity whether it's the same with the leopard. So that's why I
Yes,
wanted to know that.
yes, that's the reason, because like when it comes to, especially for the circuses, you have these lions, you have the tigers, but then again, no leopards being seen in the circuses itself. That's the reason, because like you can tame a tiger, you can tame a lion, but then again, leopards are very untamable animals. They have their own characteristics and they are very dominated. Very dominant. Unlike tigers, you can adapt a tiger. Even when it comes to some foreign countries, especially when it comes to the Arabian countries, you can see they take tigers and tigers and lions as the exotic pets all the time. But then again, there are very few cases that involve leopards. Leopards cannot be tamed most of the time. They are the only, like the leopards and the jaguars are the only wildcat species that cannot be tamed, especially when it's even for the even in the zoos itself.
Okay.
Others you can have some sort of influence on them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
As you said, like the leopards are not much likely to interactive. So how was your first day experience with them?
My first experience was kind of freaky, because like I myself met a leopard on like face to face in year 2015 when I was an undergraduate. It happened in Central Highlands around like 5 in the evening. I never had previous experience before involving a leopard, so I got kind of my adrenaline was rushing. I was very speculated about his presence and such. I just wanted to go and grab him by the neck. But I wanted to hug, but then again I stand up for myself and I got excited, as well as I was kind of feared about his presence, because I can't predict what he's going to do or what he will be like, or what his behavior will be, or either he'll be taking me as a threat or something like that. So at the first moment we shared eye contact, and leopard just staring at me, and I was staring at the leopard. So in between, like for very few seconds, we shared our movement, and leopard just vanished away from through the tea landscape, as in from the tea state. I just stood there and I was waiting it for to reappear. It does came back, but it was very like a very memorable and very exciting moment for me. That was the first time I've seen leopards, and since then I've seen a lot of leopards, especially when it comes to the dry zone, and it's always mesmerizing and always touching when you are seeing a leopard up close in the Central Hills with all these and everything. It's the perfect scenario.
Okay, thanks for sharing with that with us.
Sure, we do.
Okay, we have slowly reached to the end of the session. So thank you for accepting our invitation and for the valuable time in your busy schedule, Sethil. So we got valuable and
Already,
productive answers
yes.
from you.
No, the
And
honor is mine actually. It was great to be with you all guys with the Gypzeez and with the Venture Vertiles. It's a privilege, and thank you guys for the invitation. Thanks a lot, and you have been a great crowd, and looking forward to working with you all.
yeah, thank you so much for joining with us. So thank you for all the audience who have come up with some elevating questions. Very happy to see lots of support and volunteers over here. So here we came to the last event of our agenda. So I welcome Viknadarshan, Head of Mobile Application of Gypzeez, to give the vote of thanks. So Vicky, the screen is yours. I think we can't hear you.
Okay, I was not unmuted. Okay, fine. Yeah, so Today we had the second session in the series of Venture Versatile, and it was organized by Gypzeez. We had our guest speaker, Sethil Muhandiram, sharing his knowledge and some adventurous experience with us throughout this session. And I hope it was a very interesting and inspiring one to each and every one of us. So we thank you, Sethil, for coming here during a busy schedule and spending this much time with us. I would also like to thank Vidu Priyanka Balasubramaniam, Head of Networking, for doing a great job on hosting this event. Moreover, I would also like to thank each and every participant who joined today to make this session a success. Last but not least, I would also like to thank Gypzeez and especially the organizing team for organizing such an interesting as well as a thoughtful session, which I personally believe would produce more conservators in the future. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this session, and I would also like to remind you that we have more sessions coming up for you in the series of Venture Versatile. So make sure to follow our social media handles to get updates about the upcoming sessions. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you, Vicky. So before winding up, kindly I request you all to turn on your cameras to have a group photograph. Okay, thank you all. So another one thing, so I have missed it in the middle. So we'll be dropping a feedback query in the chat box. So feel free to fill that also. So apologize for telling in this last moment. So here we come to the end of this session. So hope you all would have thoroughly enjoyed all the answers. Personally, I got a fruitful experience throughout this session. So thank you all. So I hope to meet you all in the next session of this series with another guest speaker, and it will be conducted in the beginning of November. Until that, stay tuned. Good night and have a nice day and stay safe.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks a lot. Bye.